Hi, welcome back. Focal Point AFR Talk. 888-589-8840. Just real quickly before we go to the phones to finish up on what I was saying about this tax deal. This chain migration thing is horrible. This is millions and millions and millions of people that are going to be pulled into America by people who are currently right now illegal aliens. Ladies and gentlemen, they are immigration criminals. That may sound like a harsh word, but that's what a criminal is. A criminal is somebody who breaks the law. That's a crime. They've broken the law. They're criminals. They're illegal alien criminals. Marco Rubio wants to instantly legalize them. And this DREAM Act, where all you got to do is say, they don't ask for any proof. They are ordered to take your word for it. There's no age cap, so you can be 40 years old. You can be 50 years old, and you can say, hey, my parents drugged me here when I was a kid. And they have to take your word for it. And when you are qualified under this DREAM Act, let's see, DREAM Act beneficiaries will also be able to get green cards for their parents, spouses, and children 5 years from enactment. Those family members will then be eligible for citizenship 5 years after that. That's potentially 10 million new citizens. It also allows for unlimited visas for the spouses and children, unlimited, of all green card holders, both those currently illegal and the newly legal immigrants. Exponential chain migration. I mean, this thing, and 10 million new citizens. Who do you think they're going to vote for? Who do you think they're going to vote for? They're going to vote Democrat. Why Marco Rubio, who wants to be the Republican candidate for president in 2016, is behind this is beyond me, because he is slitting the throat of his own political party. On this back, and Marco Rubio has been out there talking about, they're going to pay back taxes. I mean, he made this thing sound brutal. This is miserable. We're going to make life miserable for these people. It's going to be like Guantanamo Bay every day for these poor people. They got to go through background checks. They're going to have to pay all these hefty fines. They're going to have to pay back taxes. They're going to have to wait. It's going to be absolutely miserable. In fact, Marco Rubio himself said, look, it'd be easier and cheaper and faster if they just went home. And when he says that, he's admitting, by the way, don't ever forget this in the immigration debate, when the issue of a pathway to citizenship comes up, well, we got to give them a pathway to citizenship. Everybody says we got to have that. Well, they have it. They have right now a pathway to citizenship. Go home and wait in line like the other 4,400,000 people around the world are doing. You've got a pathway to citizenship. Go home and get in line. So we're not taking a pathway away from anybody. They've got the same pathway that everybody else in the world has. They don't want equal treatment. They want special treatment under immigration law. Now, let me get to this tax thing, then we'll get back to the phones. So if you listen carefully, you're not going to hear Marco Rubio talking a lot about back taxes. He'll be talking about paying taxes, but notice they're getting slippery on paying back taxes. Because what would happen is this paying back taxes business means that some of these illegal aliens could actually wind up with our government, our taxpayers, cutting them a check because of this earned income tax credit and the expanded child care tax credit. We did the story several weeks ago, $4 billion a year going out the door to illegal aliens who don't live here. You got 4 people using the same address. Their kids live in Mexico. They're getting billions in refunds. They haven't paid in a dime, and they're getting these refunds back. And this would make the problem worse because these illegal aliens, okay, you got to get caught up with the IRS. And the IRS goes and looks, well, you're eligible for this earned income tax credit. You're eligible for this child tax credit for the last 10 years that you've been here. And so they're going to wind up getting a bonus. They will actually get a bonus for breaking our immigration law and coming forward. Mickey Kaus, who writes on the Daily Caller, says this whole thing is a fraud, this back taxes business. And he says this, negotiators had to choose between a hard-line approach favored by Republicans like Senator John McCain that would have required immigrants and employees to painstakingly piece together a tax history so the government could collect what is owed. Now Marco Rubio wants you to think that's what this is about. Oh, man, it's going to be brutal. They're going to have to go back. They're going to have to reconstruct their tax history. They're going to have to reconstruct their tax liability. They're going to have to pay all that to the IRS. That was choice A, hardline approach, or a less burdensome option, listen to this, of focusing on people who already have a past due bill with the IRS. They chose the milder approach and punted the details to the Treasury Department and IRS to hash out down the road. In other words, it looks as if, listen to this, as if illegal aliens will only have to pay back taxes if the IRS has already moved to assess them for it, which would be why the text of the bill says they only have to pay federal income taxes assessed, actual income taxes that have been assessed. What about income taxes that weren't paid or assessed because illegal aliens were working off the books or using fraudulent Social Security numbers? No worries. They're not going to collect them. So this whole thing about these back taxes, it's completely and absolutely totally bogus. There's nothing to it. Unless you got the IRS coming after you right now, you're an illegal alien, unless the IRS is coming after you right now, this tough as nails amnesty bill isn't going to touch them. Well, let's go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's start with Harold, Oklahoma City. Harold, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. Well, you got me off track. What I called about the insanity just continues. I can't believe, I can believe what you're saying, but it's insane.
Oh man, isn't it?
If they were dishonest enough to come here and never pay taxes for however long, are they really going to go back and pay all those taxes? I mean, come on. But enough of that. What I called about was two quick things. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which you guys have been talking about. I contacted where I'm at in Oklahoma, Senator Tom Coburn's my U.S. Senator, contacted his office the other day because I was drafting a letter. I wanted to know from his administrative person whether he was aware of this, and she said no, they had not heard anything about the FBI and the Department of Justice using the Southern Poverty Law Center as their go-to list, and that mainstream Christian organizations such as AFA and Family Research Council. But so anyway, I would encourage people to, even though it doesn't seem like it since we lost the election that does any good to write our representatives, they do want to know. I mean, and if there's somebody, if you're in a part of the country where you're being represented by somebody who's Democrat and you don't feel like they're representing you at all, be a thorn in their side. Still write them. Pound them, send them a letter every week.
Absolutely.
We need to get our representatives on this. I asked,
and the only way to do it, I mean, you're exactly right. I'll tell you, the only way to do it is just pester them. I'm telling you, Harold, that's the only way to do it is pester them. We got to besiege them, overwhelm them, drive them absolutely nuts with phones ringing off the wall.
And what I asked was, okay, this is Senator Coburn. I know he's on he's on different committees. Well, one of the committees he's on is Homeland Security. So he will have a little bit of, I don't want to say clout, but an end to look into this to say, hey, why are we doing it? Why is this, now whether he can change it, I don't know. The other thing that I'm writing him about is the immigration bill, and what I wanted to ask readers to think about is if you're a member of, if you supported during the pledge the last time or the last year, you get in one of the magazines or the monthly thing, I've got it in there by my computer, it gives you a simple template of how to write a letter to your representative, which is good for me because in the past I expound and say, go on and on and on. I should say some things I probably shouldn't say. So it's good for somebody like me to have it there because it can keep me on track. The other thing I'll say real quick, and I'll let you go, is I would like to know, one of the things I'm writing Senator Coburn about, why is it we have billions of taxpayer dollars to send to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, but we can't fund our own military?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, cutting back there. We've got money to send F-16s to Egypt. We just sent $123 million to Syria, where the rebels there have pledged themselves to impose Sharia law if they win. And we're helping them to the tune of $123 million. We've got advisors over there on the ground helping them. It's just absolutely nuts. It's just crazy. You got the Congress was meeting yesterday. They got busted on this, so they're backing away from it. But Harry Reid, John Boehner was in this. They were trying to figure out a way to exempt them and their aides from Obamacare. This is the thing that they passed. This is their celebrated legislative achievement, and they were meeting behind closed doors over the last couple of days. How can we exempt ourselves from Obamacare? And you know what their reason was? They've got legislative aides that work, $20,000, $30,000 a year. They said they can't afford it. They will not be able to afford Obamacare. The thing that we created that's supposed to make health care available to everybody, supposed to bend the cost curve downward for health care, it's going to make things so expensive that our own legislative aides will not be able to afford it. Don't make us play by the same rules that we are forcing on everybody else. And I've got another story here. I mean, I'm telling you, the Democrats are getting freaked out. Ladies and gentlemen, they are freaking out over Obamacare because everybody's beginning to realize this thing is going to be an absolute total disaster, total train wreck. I'll play the soundbite. Max Baucus, he's one of the architects of Obamacare, and he's out there saying this thing is a train wreck. Talking to Kathleen Sebelius, said it to her face. This is going to be a train wreck. And here's a piece from the New York Times. Democratic senators at a caucus meeting with White House officials expressed concerns on Thursday about how the Obama administration was carrying out the health care law they adopted 3 years ago. Democrats in both houses of Congress said some members of their party were getting nervous that they could pay a political price if the rollout of the law was messy or if premiums went up significantly. The New York Times, when they say they're getting nervous, that's a polite way for the New York Times to say these Democrats are losing their minds. They are freaking out because every study that's been done, actuarial studies, is indicating that premiums are going to go up anywhere between 32 and 80%, and the Democrats have to stand for election 10 months after this thing rolls out. Focal Point AFR Talk.
American Family Radio, AFR Talk.
The Home Depot recently donated $8,500 to the Human Rights Campaign. The HRC is the nation's largest and most aggressive gay marriage advocacy group. So customers who shop at Home Depot help to push the legalization and promotion of homosexual marriage in America. Urge Home Depot to remain neutral in the homosexual culture war. Boycott thehomedepot.com.
American Family Radio, AFR Talk, a ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Steve Pugh. Emergency crews say a crash between a rural transit bus and a freight train in western Pennsylvania injured at least 10 people. Those on the bus were taken to hospitals, some in the Pittsburgh area. Allegheny General Hospital spokesman Dan Laurent says 3 men and a woman were brought to his hospital.
We've had 4 patients transported to the shock trauma unit at Allegheny General Hospital as a result of this bus and train collision in Evans City.
The crash occurred about 8:10 a.m. Friday at an unmarked crossing in Evans City, about 25 miles northwest of Pittsburgh. U.S. commanders say they have a range of options if the president decides to take action in Syria. Correspondent Sarga Magani has more.
The options include a no-fly zone, airstrikes, and tens of thousands of ground troops to secure the Syrian regime's chemical weapons. But Middle East analyst Aram Nergizian says none of those are a good idea.
They range from bad to worse.
Nergizian and Robert Deneen, a former State Department Middle East analyst, both see the troop option as a no-go.
I don't think the administration has any desire to go to war with Syria.
Officials here are stressing any military action would be in concert with other nations. Sagar Meghani at the Pentagon.
A U.S.-born Israeli author and terrorism expert believes the downing of a terrorist drone by Israel is a sign that Israel's enemies may be preparing for another war.
The Israeli military confirmed on Thursday that it shot down an unmanned aircraft sent by the Hezbollah terrorist group into Israeli skies. Military officials say the aircraft was downed off the Israeli coast in Israeli airspace near the northern city of Haifa. It is the second known instance in which the Lebanese terrorist group, a bitter Israeli enemy, has sent a drone into Israeli airspace. Last October, the Israeli Air Force shot down an unmanned aircraft in a similar incident. Israel and Hezbollah fought a month-long war in 2006 that ended in a stalemate. David Rubin is the former mayor of the Israeli city of Shiloh and author of Peace for Peace, Israel in the New Middle East.
They're obviously trying to get information about Israel and about Israel's military capabilities. Hezbollah has been rearming to an enormous extent, preparing for the next war, which I believe is coming very soon. And frankly, I don't think that the Boston terror attack is that far from this particular issue. It's all tied in together. The worldwide Islamic terrorism is striking on many fronts.
Rubin says it is disturbing that Hezbollah is using drones, which are more sophisticated than the rockets they indiscriminately spray into Israel.
What we're talking about here is high technology military weaponry that Hezbollah has acquired over the years. Much of it they've acquired from Iran.
Rubin says Hezbollah is clearly under the umbrella of Iran, and whatever they do is in coordination with Iran. I'm Chad Groening.
Ohio is moving to make sure abortion clinics in the state adhere to laws and regulations or face disciplinary action. More from AFN's Charlie Butts.
Violations were so serious, an abortion clinic in Cuyahoga Falls shut down after receiving a threat of closure from the state. Mike Gunadakis heads Ohio Right to Life.
They had over 10 violations for health and safety standards. They had nurses and doctors that were allegedly cleaning rooms and then visiting patients. They had instances of possible doctors filling out prescription notepads without seeing any patients, and a whole host of other safety violations, uncleanly facility as well.
And then there was an abortuary in Toledo operating illegally.
Ohio law requires them to have specific arrangements in place to transfer any woman who had a botched abortion or had a medical emergency due to abortion to a hospital. They didn't have a transfer agreement with the hospital, yet were operating for many months. So they were violating Ohio law from the day they opened their doors, and based on an investigation of state health inspectors, they went back to them and told them that they were going to close their doors immediately for that.
Gunadakis says they are thankful to have a governor, John Kasich, who is serious about enforcing abortion clinic regulations. I'm Charlie Butts.
And a man has been arrested for investigation of attempted murder after he allegedly shot at the father of a player in a Little League T-ball game following an argument. The San Francisco Chronicle reports 23-year-old Joshua Chi was arrested Wednesday, was being held on a $750,000 bail. Authorities say the shooting happened April 17th during a North Vallejo T-ball game after Chi and the father of a player argued with each other at the baseball field. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
If you've ever been surprised by what looked like a legitimate website that turned out to be completely disgusting, then you know how awful it feels. And if it's happening to your kids, now we have to worry about that on our iPhones and Androids too. Or do we? Mobile WebGuard is designed to provide whitelist and blacklist checking. Plus, it offers time-of-day control, history checking, and so much more. All of the details are available at mobilewebguard.com/AFA.
The lengths to which he will go to avoid telling us the truth about the enemy is becoming comical. It's certainly embarrassing.
What is your take or opinion about jihad?
The phrase jihad has a lot of meanings within Islam.
Workplace violence, but not Islamic terrorism, right?
And it's subject to a lot of different interpretations.
Radical Islam is the primary driver of terrorism in the world. Would you admit that?
No,
Do you not have a television set?
The word is Islamist parties. He refuses to use the obvious word.
The facts are the facts. 90% of worldwide terrorism is radical Islam.
Okay. Freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law